Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, November 2nd, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. First up, looks like there was some maybe targeted, I'm not sure, Google Halloween update that touched down around November 1st. There was a bunch of people in different forums, Webmaster World, Black Hat forums, on Twitter, et cetera, in the SEO community, talking about a possible update. The tools themselves did not show much fluctuations, but there was definitely a niche, a group of people in the SEO community that definitely felt their rankings have significantly changed. I don't think it was really widespread. I do think it actually probably hit some type of tactic or some type of niche in the search industry. So it's hard to say for sure, but definitely take a look at your rankings around November 1st. Check your analytics and see if anything has changed significantly around your rankings around then. Google said they're going to investigate, and they actually did investigate, an issue where Google News publishers were complaining over the past few months that their websites in Google News are not being discovered. Lisa Wang from Google said, "We're aware of concerns publishers have raised around issues around finding their stories or their sites or particular story articles in Google News. We're looking into the reports." And basically, there's lots of complaints that people can't find their content in Google News when they're a Google News publisher. Yesterday, I don't know, about 12 hours ago, Lisa Wang came back into the forums and basically said they're going to do an update based on what they've seen. And I'll quote you. Lisa Wang said, "We're working on an update which should help resolve some of the issues that publishers have raised around finding their sites or particular articles in Google News." They said this will probably roll out in about the next few weeks or so, but it's not clear what this means. Is there a bug with Google News? Is there an issue with these news publishers that Google could fix for them on their behalf? Is there going to be a new feature that helps publishers do a new site command that helps them find their content? I'm not sure exactly what's going on, and I did email Google for more information. Hopefully I'll get an answer on that. It looks like a lot of SEOs, like back in the day, like when Google did updates, it would be like focus on PageRank and links and so forth. And now SEOs are all about this focus on eat. And it's just funny to hear. And it seems kind of calculated. Obviously, eats from the Google quality raters guideline around, quality specific metrics. So it's not something new. I mean, basically, we covered, I think here, if I click on here, 2014, it's like expertise, authority, trustworthiness. That's what's in the guidelines, and there's lots of little factors around that. And it's cool because now SEOs are now focusing on more metrics that make a website better as opposed to just building links to the website. And I think it's calculated since before the Medic update, since before that, Googlers were saying, look at the quality raters guidelines. They published it on purpose after several years of it being quiet. And as it was released or as it was leaked over the years, Google said, let's just release it. And it didn't really hurt. Actually, it's helping. It's helping Google point people to a place to look to actually fix their websites. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean these tactics will help. I mean, they just basically tell you how to build a quality website. But it's better than, at least definitely from Google's perspective, it's better than Google SEOs basically obsessing about PageRank and links or domain authority from Moz or whatever. So I think it was really calculated from Google, and I think it was a smart calculation from Google. Google PageRank algorithm is still important. So it's funny because there was two things that came up recently, and one is a tweet from John Mueller that says, some people were talking about PageRank patents and so forth, and he basically said, I wouldn't be surprised, you can see here, if things change significantly around the PageRank algorithm. Okay, cool. But in a Matt Cutts interview released this week, which you gotta watch, and I'll link to it later, Matt Cutts said basically it's the same concept. Nothing really has changed there, in his opinion. Maybe it has. He talked about machine learning and AI and PageRank and this and that, and he'd be surprised that much changed around PageRank because it's still a good quality metric. Overall, obviously, the details of the PageRank algorithm probably has changed and the weights and so forth, but it's still an important factor. And obviously, Matt Cutts hasn't been at Google for a while, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. Again, Googlers are disagreeing about things. And the question is why. We keep covering more and more cases of Googlers disagreeing. And in this hangout, John Mueller from just a couple days ago basically explained that the engineers at Google say to the Google Webmaster Trends Analyst, which is John Mueller, to not tell webmasters and SEOs, that's us, to remove low-quality content, but instead they should tell us to improve low-quality content. But John Mueller said practically it's not always possible. And we understand that as Webmaster Trends Analysts, that it's not always possible for webmasters to improve thousands of pages of low-quality content that might have worked in the past, that might have been published over the years and just get stale. And because of that, we also do recommend that you remove content in that case, and because it's more practical and so forth. And both do work. He said he's seen cases, studies showing that both do work. So that's kind of one example of why Google might disagree with each other. Shed some light there. Google wants SEOs to tell them how they can make the search results better. Danny Sullivan tweeted this week, We're curious about what's top of mind in your hopes and dreams about how Google displays links, more control over site links, over titles, things we don't want you to do, what you like to do with markup to help us, etc. So definitely go to Danny Sullivan's tweet, share it with him. I'm not exactly sure if that will result in anything, but he's obviously asking, and now he works at Google. In that hangout that I discussed before, Google talked about closing the gap between Googlebot's ability to render web pages like Chrome or a latest modern browser. And they said they're closing the gap between modern browsers and what Googlebot could access. That means heavier JavaScript, rendering, and so forth. And that is taking them a longer time. But when they close that gap, it will probably remain inconsistently modern browser. Googlebot will consistently be up to par, supposedly, with the modern browsers going forward. And that gives content publishers more ways to produce content that Google can index and crawl. Also, Google has something really interesting to say around lazy loading scroll events, which again clarify miscommunication within Google. And Martin Splitt from Google, who works with John Mueller, basically said that Googlebot does not scroll, but they do something similar where they kind of render a longer viewport. He also said, he basically says they do something different, but I think it's the viewport thing. He also said that they do use a no-script tag in those sentences for those JavaScript things. Again, things we said a couple weeks ago that Google argued about. Gary said they use Gary said they use no-script. John Mueller said they don't. John Mueller said they do crawl. Gary said they don't crawl. And you can see here, Martin is kind of confirming that Gary is right technically, but we will see. Google should be getting back to me on that type of stuff. Google Cache seems to be showing the mobile version to some people of their website. Obviously, we discussed weeks ago that Google had a bug with the cache in the mobile first indexing side. So if you click on the cache link, you get a 404. Google fixed that 404 for most sites. But now, according to Glenn Gabe, it looks like Google's showing the cache version of the mobile version of the site. He sees it on my website too. This is the mobile version of Rusty Brick, but I don't see it. A lot of people aren't seeing it. Maybe it's a data center issue. Makes sense that they would show it, so hopefully that is. John Mueller said it's best that you do fill out the meta description tag. Don't let Google figure it out. Of course, you can control it better. Of course, Yoast, did a study several months ago basically saying that Google will most likely not listen to your meta description tag anyway, so don't bother. But of course, Google says if you do bother, maybe the Google will listen to it. As you know, the Google Home Hub, the hub with the display, is out. I've been playing with it for about a week or so. It's very interesting. I like it a lot. I do. I bought two, one for my desk, one for my home and my office. My home for my wife and my kids in the kitchen. They love it. And one for my desk. It's a great digital display. It's a great digital picture frame if you have Google Photos. In any event, I did a whole big blog post at Search Engine Land about the SEO perspective of what's changed around feature snippets, answers, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing that bugs me is the speakable markup. On the Google Home normal device without the display, speakable markup, which is available for publishers to ask Google what the latest news on a specific topic, works fine. It reads you back the news from the website that uses speakable markup. But with Google Home Hub, with the display, it doesn't use speakable markup. It's not supported. Google told me it's not supported yet. Who knows if it will be supported. Instead, they generate these irrelevant videos from YouTube, from news publishers like CNN that completely have nothing to do with the query you're asking. So hopefully they'll address those in the coming months. Google also has added a setting to Google My Business to prevent or to opt out of Google Assistant from calling you, Google Duplex. You can actually check off if you're in this locations that Google Duplex might call you, Google Assistant might call you to make an appointment. The robot calling the restaurant to book an appointment for the Google on the Google Assistant. You could actually turn that off, so that's pretty cool. Google My Business seems to be removing addresses from businesses that use the service area section. So if you have a service area section, they seem to be removing your address from your listings. Google has redesigned the hotel search results. We caught it Monday. They actually announced it on Wednesday. It looks pretty neat. I like it a lot. Lots of cool features there. Bing has sunsetted their version 11 of the Bing Ads API. So if you are using it, make sure to upgrade to version 12 because as of 2 days ago, the API for version 11 has no longer worked. Google AdSense announced a new quality control metric to require you to verify sites that you want to publish your ads on or embed your ads on before the ads actually display. And you can actually do that by clicking on settings and then verify sites or sites. You may have to do that. The Google homepage now on mobile, if you go to google.com on your mobile phone, it will actually load the Discover feed, Google Discover, which I'm not a big fan of. It's no longer the search box. It's a big change for Google. Google's was always about a homepage that had just a search box and not a feed, but I'm not surprised it went that way. And finally, Matt Custon had an amazing interview from Brian McCullen on the Internet History Podcast. 100% recommend you spend the time watching it. It talks a lot about his early days at Google, about his history of Google, about the changes that he went through around spam and this and that, and then obviously him going to the USDS. So definitely take a look at that, and you won't be disappointed to listen to it. You don't have to watch it, just listen to it, play in the background, and it's great. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. Today, again, is November 2nd. This is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable, SEOroundtable.com over the past week. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next. Bye.